on the way home radio. What's good, Maniacs? It's your boy Manny. Call me Manny.com. This podcast is one of the many ways that I'm trying to stay in touch with you. If you consider yourself to be a fan of my music, you should go to callmemanny.com/get updates to learn more. What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 4 of On the Way Home Radio. We are 4 weeks in, 4 weeks of you really diving deep into my thoughts about what's going on with me and music right now. So welcome. Good to have you back. Appreciate you for listening. Had a few of you actually DM me personally to let me know that you were binge listening to the podcast. Upset because you felt like you were behind, which is kind of a good thing. If I'm putting out more content than what you can actually consume, it makes me feel better about making sure that I'm putting my energy out into the world. Although I know that energy is supposed to be with music. That's really what I want to, I guess, talk about in this podcast. I'm sure you've seen the title already. And it's around my music has actually changed lives. And that's mind-blowing to me. So many of you have reached out to me over the course of my career to tell me that you were able to get yourself out of an abusive relationship, or you were able to find more value in yourself while listening to me, or you were able to really get a better understanding of love, which is crazy because I feel like I don't really even understand love. I think I mentioned, where did I mention this? Let me see. I don't even know where I mentioned this before. I think it was maybe in like a lyrics and meaning video on my YouTube, maybe for Time, I'm thinking. But I know I put it out there in the universe before, but I said something around the idea of love being a variable in life's equation, where, so if life is a mathematical equation and, this side equals this side, and that's where you get balance, you could sprinkle in health, wealth, love, and happiness, I guess, in different ways for this equation. And love is a variable where if you have too much of it, it's bad. You're off balance. And if you have too little of it, it's bad. You're off balance. And so it's kind of like you need the right amount, but everybody's amount that they need is different. And so anyways, I'm getting already off subject. We just started the podcast. Anyways, so some of you have told me that you were able to get a better understanding of love through my music. Obviously, a lot of you have just said that you danced to it, or you remember my music being played at house parties or clubs. I'm like, where are these DJs? Like, who are these DJs playing my music? They're not even reaching out. Like, reach out to me. I guess for some people, I remember being in New York one time and somebody had asked me if I knew Trey Songz. I'm like, what? Who the hell do you think I am to know Trey Songz? Like, I definitely do not know Trey Songz. But the idea that you would think I do, that is mind blowing to me. Like, oh, like, what do you mean? Your music is like over here. So is Trey Songz. So don't you know him? That's crazy. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, the idea that my music has changed lives really is mind blowing to me. And I'd like to kind of explain why. You would think that would be my goal, maybe, I guess, with music. Okay, so I'm making music to purposefully impact lives. It's not necessarily what I sought to do. I don't really have a good answer for why I make music. It's just kind of been something I've always done. So I know my family is listening to this, and I mean, they could they could tell you that I've just been, making music since I was a kid. I just found the piano one day. It actually really started with lyrics. I started writing raps and songs. Some of the songs that I wrote back then were inspired by like Michael Jackson-esque sounds. And then I kind of transitioned to wanting to become a rapper once I realized I can't sing. Yes, I said I can't sing. And then I guess as I started rapping over well-known productions. I did like some freestyles over some famous beats, and I quickly started to think, well, I can't monetize this. Like I can't take this and release it for the world because there's a copyright claim like if I do that. So I can't just use this music. It's only good for mixtape. I need to have original work. And I'm like probably like 10 or 11 years old when I'm thinking this. And so I started to learn production, and I started doing some production around my music. It was all very terrible. Under the name Famous. I think I have it planned out where I'm going to do a stories video soon on YouTube where I talk about my Famous era. And so for those of you that don't know, my very first artist name was Famous. The idea behind the name was that if my name was famous, then I'm already famous. Ha ha. And then obviously over time it transitioned into Manny. Well, my name was like, nobody called me Famous. They would call me Manny. So that's what happened. And then I remember in a song I said, they call me Manny or something like that in the beginning of the song. And that song, I don't know if I ever released that song. I might have put it out into the world, but it was very bad. And somebody that I knew remembered that part and said it to me. Like, oh, they call me Manny. And I was like, okay, interesting. And then I had said it again at the intro of another song. And then I said it in the intro of What Was I Thinking? And that is when it started to get real for me, because What Was I Thinking started to take off. And when I would go to like a house party and I would see somebody I know, they would look at me and they'd be like, oh, they call me Manny. And like all of a sudden everybody around me was Manny. Everybody was calling everybody Manny, apparently. And that's when I thought of the idea, okay, let me just do callmemanny.com, call me Manny and everything. But yeah, so I never really kind of had a plan for what impact I'm trying to make with my music. I just made music. Now, I guess when I try to think about why does my music make an impact, obviously it's because of the lyrics, right? And so then, okay, so Manny, you purposefully write lyrics that touch people. Why wouldn't you assume it's going to make an impact if they hear it? And I'll tell you why. And it has a lot to do with my production process. So, when I produce music, the very first thing that I do is write the lyrics. I'll think of a melody, probably something that ties very closely with the chorus or the hook of the song, maybe a bridge. Maybe if I think of a better melody later, it becomes the hook, and then that ends up becoming a verse, something. I don't know. It'll just kind of transition as it goes. But I always start with the lyrics. And I'll quickly have a great idea for the overall song concept. From there, I switch over to the production. And the lyrics might not be done yet, right? So this is actually something that's kind of unique about me. I remember talking about this actually in my very first podcast when I interviewed with somebody else on a podcast about my process. And it's not always the same, right? But for the most part, I start with the lyrics, move into production, but the song isn't done yet. And then I'll come up with an idea in the production and it moves back to the lyrics. Then I might finish the lyrics, go back to the production, and then add additional sounds to make sure it sounds full, and then sequence it, which is, I guess, just put it out over time, right? So you have a length, the song length, and then I know exactly where the pockets are going to be for my verse, the bridge, the hook, and everything. Intro, outro. And then something happens. And I talk about this in my latest Q&A video that I just released on Thursday. about the 70%. And I'll probably go into more detail on that later. But I do talk about it in pretty good detail in that stories video. I'm sorry, in that Q&A video. The Q&A video was why don't I consistently release music? Or why am I not releasing a song once a week? So if you visit my YouTube, you can go to callmemanny.com and click video. I'm hesitant right now because I'm just thinking about that link and not sure if that link is going to work in the near future because I'm working on some updates to my website. So then that actually makes me think about all the links that I've ever mentioned, but whatever, this is how things go. Of course, you can go to callmemanny.com and at some point, some place you'll find it. But right now, if you click video, you'll be able to find my YouTube and then you can click the latest Q&A video. But what I talk about in the 70% is that I will get to a certain point in my music that it's basically done, but it's not mixed and mastered correctly or at all yet. And therefore, it's not good enough to release. And I have a lot of songs that kind of get buried in this 70% cemetery that I've created. So in order for me to have a song that actually releases, I spend hours on hours just listening to the song over and over and over and over again, tweaking this, tweaking that. I'll do it with my regular AirPods. I'll do it with my studio headphones. I'll do it in my car. I literally bring my laptop in my car, connect the aux, and hear how that sounds. I'm like all over the place. I'll play it on Alexa. And so for the last if I let's say I just imagine that it takes me 40 total hours to make a song. I made that up. I don't know if that number is accurate. But let's say it takes me 40 total hours to make a song. It'll probably take me an hour, maybe less, an hour or two to write the lyrics total. Another hour or two to make the production total. An hour or two to sequence it, add some small effects, do some additional items, make it a little bit more unique over the sequence. And so what were we at? 6 hours maybe? But I said it takes 40 hours, right? So then, okay, so we're at 34 hours. 34 hours, the last 34 hours of the song is spent figuring out the final 30%. Which is really bad. Like if I could hire this out, that'd be great. Why don't I hire it out? Actually, also kind of talk about that in my latest Q&A video. Just talking about the return on investment in music. If you hire out every single detail of everything you do as an artist and just try to focus on music, it gets very expensive. You're very likely not going to get a return on your investment, which is why, many artists obviously end up signing deals. Well, first of all, they sign deals because they don't know how to do that. You get offered the money in advance, and great people will work on the production for you, or people that understand that process will work on the production for you. But they're making a bet, and then the majority of artists that sign a deal actually don't do well. The majority of artists that sign a deal don't do well. You might think the opposite. You're like, oh, you signed a deal, you're gonna do fantastic. That's not how it works. And then you're in debt, and this is just a whole nother it's a whole nother conversation, I guess, for another stories video. I'm sorry, for another podcast episode. But so 36 hours is spent listening to the song over and over again so that I can figure out the mixing and the mastering, so that I can make it so that when you're listening to it in your car or listening to it on your headphones or on Alexa, or I'm scared to say the name, it's just gonna light up, on Amazon, or in your professional studio environment, whatever, that the audio quality sounds great. So what does it do to me? It makes me numb. I don't even remember the impact that the lyrics have. It doesn't, I don't remember it because I spent the past 36, technically 38 hours out of the 40 thinking about the production, the sequence, and then the mix and the master. I don't even remember the feeling that I had when I wrote the song. Then it'll take me another 2 to 4 weeks probably to even distribute the song for you to listen to. If I decide to distribute the song. I think I was sitting on Prequel for about probably from the December prior, so about maybe 2 months before I actually released it in February 16th, which, by the way, we're about to celebrate 5-year anniversary of Prequel. 5 years. I know some of you that are listening to this are going to think about that and be like, damn, that was 5 years ago? Yeah, it was 5 years ago. Wow. It was 2016. And so February 16, 2021. Nice to already be thinking about 2021. Because 2020 is a mess. Is going to be the 5-year anniversary of Prequel, which is interesting. I just thought about that like 4 or 5 days ago. So, okay, so I released my song and I don't know, like I guess in my head, when I think you listen to a song, I think you listen to the production and the audio quality and the overall, sounds that I created but you don't. You don't listen to that, and that's normal, right? I guess it's not normal for me. It's not the way I listen to music. And actually, there's a part of me that actually, I'm probably going to make a separate podcast episode where I talk about songs I listen to and maybe more specifically why I think songs are great. What makes a great song to me? I care a lot about the production and the sequence and the mix, and the lyrics have to be powerful, which is interesting. So like the lyrics is like the main thing, like what's the message that the song is sending, but then also what is the mix and the master. And I guess it's just interesting when I listen to my own music, I forget about the lyric part of it. I forget about the impact that the lyrics can have. Therefore, when somebody tells me that they listened to one of my songs and that it's had like a really big impact on their lives, it just blows my mind. It really does. It genuinely does. Like I don't know. I don't know what to say to that, to think that, okay, if I had never put Out My Way in the world, like what would have happened to some of these people, or did it actually fill a void, or would it have easily have been replaced with another song that was similar to it? Because Out My Way is not like incredibly unique. I guess, well, obviously it is, but I guess there's a part of me that feels like the concept of the song is not incredibly unique, right? There's many songs that talk about that idea. In fact, I think one of the most unique songs that I have is Easy. So if you haven't heard that song, I think that's probably one of my most actually unique songs. I don't know if I've heard, or I've debated about this earlier and I was trying to find something, but I don't think I ended up finding anything. A song that had the same song concept of Easy, which is about you being in a relationship with somebody, but you don't want to break their heart. So I guess kind of like Say Goodbye by Chris Brown. But to me, Say Goodbye maybe matches more with Falling Out of Love, because the reason why Easy is different is because it's telling you to do it to me. So that would be like if Chris Brown said, it's never a right time to say goodbye. So say goodbye to me, like let me go, because I don't know how to say goodbye to you, whatever. Like I'm just saying something randomly. But that's the whole idea. I don't know if I've heard a song like that. So if you do know a song like that, I guess text it to me. I mentioned my number before in previous episodes. It's also going to be in the notes for the podcast. So 754-799-0041. Again, you can send me a message. Send me a voice note, and I will add your voice note to the end of the podcast episode. I'd love to get some more of those. I did the first one on my last episode, which is really cool. And I look forward to hearing more notes like that. I've definitely gotten some messages from people, and I'll ask them, okay, hey, can you record yourself saying it? And I understand that that's a little bit of a bigger ask than just typing it, but if you can record it, that'd be nice. Yeah, anyway, so mind-blowing to me that my music has changed people's lives for that reason. And I look forward to continuously, impacting people's lives. I just want to, I guess, point out that I don't really have like a real plan for how I plan to impact people's lives through music. I actually think that if I do that, then I'll only make one kind of song over and over again, as opposed to, I guess making a song about anything, which is where I would idealistically like to be, especially if I'm looking to release a song every single week. But I just, hope that I can continue to impact lives in that way. I have a new song that I am currently trying to dig out of my 70% funeral cemetery thing that's happening. I'm literally just in there right now, probably on the 32nd hour. It's all just very interesting concepts. I feel like I should write a book about this. The 32nd hour. That makes sense, right? Remember my 40-hour idea, right? I'm in the 32nd hour. I still got 8 more hours to go before the song is ready, which is bad because the song should be ready already, because I had a goal to release the song by a certain date, and I am just failing miserably at that. But that is a story for a whole nother video, and I guess once it's out, I'll I guess be more specific in some sort of video or podcast episode where I'll tell you a little bit more about what was going on in my mind. But hey, my last podcast episode was super long, and I don't intend for them to be that long. I actually didn't intend for them to be this long at all. I intended them to be maybe closer to like 10 to 15 minutes, and they're all running close to 25 minutes, and then that last one was over 30. So I set a timer that already went off at 20 minutes to let me know that, hey, it's about that time. So if you are here, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. It really means the world to me. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment in the comment section below and hit the like button. That does a lot to recommend my podcast to more people like you. So definitely don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment as well. It just helps a lot with the engagement on the YouTube algorithm. And if you're listening to this podcast outside of YouTube, of course, if you can just jump into YouTube to do the same, that'd be nice. Or just send me a text. There's not really a way for you to leave feedback. And, if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Music, which I don't really like. I think there should be a better system around that. But, if you're listening to this podcast, then definitely send me a text. And yeah. All right. Thank you so much for watching and listening. It really means the world to me. Share this podcast with one friend. And as always, be great. P.S. If you were watching this on YouTube, my battery died on my camera right at the very end. So you're watching a little On the Way Home Radio logo on the screen. That's fine. I gotta be better at making sure that my camera has battery life when I do these. But you're good. And then if you're listening to me on the podcast, sorry for giving you that heads up. But cool. I'll catch you on the next episode. Love you. Bye. On the Way Home Radio.